right, guys, let's make blueberry Danish. First thing you want to do is lay out your puff pastry after it is thawed according to the manufacturer's directions on a cutting board larger than the pastry itself. Now this recipe actually makes 12 and we have 2 sheets, so we're going to cut each sheet into 6 pieces. Now I'm cutting it into thirds and then I'm going to cut it into half. Now I didn't roll it out or anything because it's not necessary where we're going to cover it with cream cheese. You're just making yourself an extra step by rolling it out for no real reason. Now go ahead and remove your puff pastry off of your cutting board and repeat the same thing, cutting into thirds and then in half on the second puff pastry sheet so that we get 12 pieces. Now, if you simply just don't know how to count like me, you can cut it in half and then cut it in half again, going the opposite direction, and then you'll get 4 pieces, which is exactly what I've said not to do this entire time. So win for me. Now that your puff pastry is cut out, you're going to score each piece about 1/2 inch from the edges, so it gives you kind of a guide of where to place the cream cheese. Now let's get our mixture ready. We're going to take our warmed cream cheese and we're going to add vanilla, and we're going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar to mix that into a kind of like a cream cheese frosting, if you will. Now we're going to mix it as best we can. We want to get out all the lumps and we want to make it a flawless or smooth color so we know our vanilla is mixed in properly. Once you have that all smoothed out, you're going to go ahead and place dollops of it onto the puff pastry. Now here, I'm going to save you a ton of time and just tell you to use a spatula to spread out the cream cheese. Because if you're stubborn like me, you're going to use a fork, and then you're going to use a knife, and then you're probably going to use anything else you can find in the kitchen that is not a spatula. Take it from me, please learn from me, and use a spatula and not a fork, knife, or hey, maybe don't use a spoon either. Now in a mixing bowl, we're going to add our blueberries that are refrigerated and thawed out, not frozen. And we're going to add in some lemon juice, and we're going to sprinkle in some sugar. Now you're going to want to sprinkle that on and then just get in there and mix it with your hands, or just use a spoon if you'd prefer, and make sure everything is well coated. Once that's done, you'll want to go ahead and add these on to the puff pastry and cream cheese directly. Now you can be super OCD and line up all the blueberries perfectly, or you can be like me and you just go rogue and just throw them on there. Now you can get fancy for no good reason and use chopsticks to separate all the blueberries. I don't even know why I did this, guys. Don't ask me. It's Monday. Now let's make an egg wash with an egg. Put that in a mixing bowl and scramble it up so you have a liquid to go ahead and brush onto the puff pastry. My bad, guys, I kind of forgot to film that part. Now it's all done. Look, everything's got the egg wash on it, and we're going to pop that into the oven. Now let's repeat which utensil values on the second sheet. A, fork, B, knife, C, spoon, or D, none of the above. Well, if you guessed a fork, you're probably right. If you guessed a spoon, you're probably right too. And guess what? If you guessed a knife, you're right. Because I used all of them and I don't know why. It's so painful. Hey, it's been 10 minutes and I actually pulled out the puff pastry and I'm going to throw it onto a baker's rack because that will prevent it from continuing cooking too much on the bottom. We're going to go ahead and make powdered sugar. It's really easy. In a blender, you're going to add the granulated sugar. You're going to dump a whole bunch of cornstarch in there by accident. Take some out and then blend it up. You're going to blend it until it's a fine consistency, and when that's done, you're going to add in heavy cream. If the appearance of the drizzle is kind of still grainy, then you're going to want to add in more heavy cream so you can get it more of a runny consistency like what you see here. Ooh, yeah, that's it. Okay, I don't know why I did that. Anyway, so once you have it to the creamy consistency, you're going to put it in a Ziploc bag. Take a toothpick and smoothly, like you know what you're doing, kind of poke the end in there and give yourself some holes to use for the icing. Now I just drizzle it on in a diagonal manner. It kind of looks a little more artsy. And why would you do straight lines? Because then you'll just notice how unstraight they are, if that's a word. And go ahead and pipe it on there and make it all artsy. And remember, you have another sheet, so you're going to do that to the same sheet. Boom, you've got pastries. That's it, guys. There's breakfast. Don't forget to click to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.